Today we will be having an overall view of what is a SOC operation sys, what do they do, and a little bit smallest demo at the end of this session. I was thinking to do it as a series of this so that now we will be having a very basic overview of this. And after knowing all what is SOC operations and what they do and certain concepts, after learning certain concepts, we will be having a part two session. In that, we will be doing a full automation setup of SOC operations in our home lab. And the third part, I was thinking to go ahead and do with a threat hunting demo session, sort of. So, in this first session, we will be having a very basic knowing about what is SOC operations and how are we going to, what are the operations being done by each individuals as a SOC analyst, and also certain concepts which would help us in, building our own lab and doing threat hunting as well. So, without further delay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so this is the agenda for today's session. So we will be having a little bit on what is SOC, and then we will have a detailed, comparison between various tools which have been used in SOC, that is SIM, XDR, and EDR. And also we will be having what is detection engineering. So basically, this is a concept which is very, very important to understand as a SOC analyst. And also the next part would be a little bit on MITRE ATT&CK and Atomic Red Team. Both will help us out in our lab simulation. And along with that, we would be doing a small demo with a VM and an ELK stack. And after doing a walkthrough, we will be triggering a very simple alert, and we will see how SOP and playbook works. So playbooks and all these concepts and all have are very much important in an organization wide. So after that, we would have a quick intro on what we will be doing next as on the part two session, and then we will move forward with the references, and we will be good to go. So next, we will see what is SOC. Next slide, please. Okay, so a security operation center. So can anybody else give me what is a SOC is? Can you give me your own explanation? What do you think a SOC is all about? It doesn't matter. It can be a very simple explanation also, no problem. All right, so I'll just go ahead and explain. So SOC, when it comes to Security Operations Center, they are like the first defensive line of an organization where they would be monitoring alerts and monitoring the whole environment of an organization. It could be as small as it could be a small environment, and it could also be a huge environment. It doesn't matter. But when it comes to a SOC operation center, what they will be doing is they will improve an organization threat detection system, and they would respond it and prevent it before it could cause any real impact to organization. So this is basically an overall concept of what SOC analyst does. And typically we have three structures which I believe many of you know already about. So first structure would be the tier one analysts. They would be working on basic triaging the alert when an alert is triggered. Basically, it can be either SIM alert, XDR alert, or whatever phishing alert or whatever it may be. They would triage it and they would investigate it, do some basic investigation, figure it out whether is does it need some more investigation. Then they would move it to the L2 queue, that is the tier 2 queue, who would be doing the very more deep analysis of this events, and they will also do incident handling. And the tier 3 would be the threat hunting and detection engineering team. So threat hunting is basically a proactive approach. The tier 3 mostly focuses on proactive approach. When it comes to tier 1 and tier 2, they are more like reactive. When I say reactive, it means an incident has already happened and they are reacting towards it. So that would come under tier 1 and tier 2. But when it comes to tier 3, it's all about proactively going and searching in your organization logs, seeing if there is any unusual activities. These activities can be basically found using threat intelligence. Basically, we can have, let's say, we have a threat intel report saying that. Let's say my organization is a medical organization and medical side, and I am seeing a threat intel report that says certain IOC specifically targeting medical domain. So, as a threat hunter, I would go ahead, see my logs, see what is happening in that, whether its particular IOC is present in our organization log, or if so, what has happened, and all those things. So, that proactive approach is what a threat hunter would do. When it comes to detection engineering, it's about using those threat intel feeds. Let's say we are getting certain feeds about IOCs or IP addresses or certain, let's say we had recently Fortinet, lots of Fortinet vulnerabilities. So when it comes to that, we might be creating a rule stating that whoever has moved a very low privileged user to a high privileged user, then an alert would trigger. If that triggers, then we have to go ahead and see whether we have proper documentation to say whether this privilege escalation, or let's say this admin, whoever is added, that user added to a privileged account, is valid or not. So that comes under detection engineering. So this is basically a high level view of what a SOC analyst would do and what is a security operation system is like. So let's go a little bit more. Next slide, please. Okay, so what does a SOC analyst do? Like what a SOC does. So when it comes to this, it has been categorized into three parts, that is preparation, planning, prevention, monitoring, detection and response, and recovery, refinement and compliance. But to be honest, these things might not only come under SOC analyst. It could be a broader set of in all the defensive, roles and responsibilities have been added here, saying stating as it comes under SOC. But it also, the recovery, refinement, compliance can become under for forensics team, and then the preparation, planning, IR team, incident response team, threat intel team, SOC team. All of them together would work on all these three categories. But that being said, sometimes let's say an organization is smaller in size, then a security operation center would itself will do all these three together. But if say an organization is huger in size, like they have a lot of endpoints, they have a lot of attack surface, then if that is the case, then there will be a lot of teams and responsible for each and everything. There would be a SOC team, there would be threat intel team, there would be tools team specifically who will be managing each tool used by a SOC analyst, like let's say SIM tool, XDR tool, EDR tool. For each tool there will be a separate team managing and seeing how the tool works, and also correlating rules. They work in the detection engineering side of that. And we will also have a IR team, that is the FCERT incident response team, who would be working on the recovery, refinement, and also seeing the what has exactly happened. They all will come under reactive side. They all will come under reactive side. And we will also have a set of proactive analysts like threat hunters and all those people who will be proactively seeing whether an organization is vulnerable or not. So when it comes to preparation, planning, and prevention, we would be having first the asset inventory. As I said again, if an organization is big enough, then they would definitely have a separate team for attack surface management. So who will be doing asset inventory? Basically, asset inventory means they will see for all the assets in an organization. That is whatever the how many endpoints are there, how many firewalls are there, and on all the network devices and everything together, so that we will get an visibility. Like when I said a SOC analyst or a security operations center would monitor these alerts, they will find threats in these alerts, or maybe they will find the threats in the logs. So if we have to find such threats, and if we have to find any details of that, we need visibility. I mean, like let's say we have like thousands of computers in our organization, but we have only installed the agents, that is the tool agents in 950. So what about the 50 others? We might not know what has happened there. An attacker can definitely get initial access through other of the 50 devices, which is not visible under our tool. So basically, asset inventory is very much important when it comes to security. And apart from that, they would also be doing regular testing. That is, obviously, we have vulnerability testing team who would be obviously doing every resources should be tested regularly to know what are the vulnerabilities present. We will be having separate vulnerability management team who would do regular testings like using tools like Nessus, OpenVAS, or maybe we also have tools like Nexpo Scanner and all those things. They would work on that. And when it comes to monitor detection and response, so this part, this is one of the most important part. This is a major work of a security operation center. So what they would do is around the clock, 24 into 7, they would monitor the agents, they would monitor all the endpoints, infrastructures, whatever applications are there, servers, systems, cloud, and everything. They would monitor for any unusual activities, suspicious activities, and then rules would be in place to trigger and alert if in case some unusual activity has happened. Then we would get a rule and we would get we would get an alert which we would go ahead and do further analysis about. There might be things like there will be a lot of rules, there will be a lot of alerts coming up, but it is always better to be safe than sorry. That's why we always try to maintain a lot of layers of defenses. Can anybody say what is defense in depth concept? Have any?
You will be having different security devices or different security measures in place. So even if one attacker is getting able to bypass, we will have another, and so many other.
Yeah, absolutely correct. So this defense in depth concept is very much important when it comes to monitoring, detection, and response, because we would be correlating this detection rules and everything with Maitri attack, that we would be having the 14 tactics and all the techniques. We would have each rule for each tactic, so that let's say an attacker is getting uh, initial access through phishing or maybe bypassing some firewall rules, then we would have certain other rules in set in place, let's say a malware rule, or maybe let's say an endpoint unusual login rule, or if all the VPN access rule. If we have such rules in different defense in depth in different layers, then we would easily be able to stop an attacker in one layer or the other. So that is where defense in depth concept comes, which is very much important while we are doing detection engineering. And the next part would be the log management. Believe it or not, when we do log management, there are like thousands of logs and hundreds of logs coming in, a second, in milliseconds. So making sure that we get logs from each and every resources is also very much important. But apart from that, it is also important to have certain visibility in place, that we will get to know if certain resources are not sending logs. If they are not sending logs, there might be some or the other issues. So it is very much important to have such visibilities as well. So log management also comes here. And as I said, let's say if an organization is big in size and if they can afford different teams, then this log management would be specifically done by the SIM tool team or the XDR team or whoever is there. And then obviously the threat detection part, as I said, we would be doing a lot of detecting works and also investigating, doing basic investigation, and going ahead with even more deeper analysis using various tools. Like let's say in tech stack, when it comes to a security tech stack, there can be a lot of tools, and correlating every log in each and every tool and then trying to figure out what has exactly happened, and creating a map, sort of like, okay, this is how in the initial access has happened, this is the process that has started it, and this is the command which was executed, and because of this command this connection was made. So we have to correlate and make a story out of the logs. So that is very much important and a huge part of security operations center. And then when we come to recovery, refinement, and compliance, obviously compliance is a huge part of security team. All the security teams we need to know, like there are lots of compliances like PCI DSS, and we have HIPAA, and we have now in India DPDP is coming, and we're not sure what is expected out of it. We are still seeing news about that. So each compliance brings in new set of regulations and new set of rules which we need to follow. And let's say when it comes to PCI DSS, they have a very elaborately detailed information on how to do the vulnerability scanning, and how long between they should do, what is the recurring time they should do, and firewall configuration to rules configuration to everything else to access control. They have guidelines for each and every part of organization. So that is why following compliance is also it's also a part of SOC. Okay, let's move further. Next slide, please. Okay. So as I was saying, SIM, XDR, and EDR. So can anybody give me examples of the tools you've come across for each SIM, EDR, XDR?
Long for SIEM, and for EDR we can say CrowdStrike. For XDR, Microsoft Sentinel.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So when it comes to SIM, EDR, and XDR, we have various tools in place. As I said, mainly for that defense in depth concept, to have visibility, to have a view on all the resources in we have in our organization, to have that sort of view. Because of that, only we have all this SIM, EDR, and XDR. So when it comes to what is the difference between them, SIM mostly focuses on the logs and the events. It focuses on all the agents which you can add in the SIM. You would get all the logs in one particular place where you can get information, do queries, and by queries you will be able to filter out details, and you can get a lot of information out of it. But when it comes to EDR is specifically for host level. I When I mean host level, it's for specific systems and specific endpoints. So that is where EDR comes from. Like it focuses mostly on processes, memory, and files, and it gives a lot of in-depth visibility as well. When it comes to XDR is basically a unified version where it covers network, it covers host, it covers cloud, it covers every other excuse me, it covers every other tools and endpoints. That is why XDR is very much most probably used at most. And it's also, we can also get a lot of information about emails and identity alerts, or access control alerts through XDR as well. So on a high level, when we have to differentiate, EDR is specifically on a host level, and when it comes to XDR, it is focused on both host, network, and cloud. And SIM mostly focuses on network, but also it also can collect lots of details on infra. But when it comes to SIM, right, there is lot of things which we can do. Like when it comes to SIM in Vazu and all, we can have compliances in place also, so that we can get alerts when each and if any non-compliance activities takes place. So SIM is like a very high level coverage, and EDR and XDR goes very specific. Next slide, please. Okay. Detection engineering. So have anybody know what is detection engineering is? Have you guys worked?
Creating rules so we can detect the threats or different types of events which we need to monitor.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. So basically, detection engineering is also a process where we would be creating rules, not just creating rules, but fine tuning that rules as well. Like let's say, for example, recently we were having some vulnerability in Fortinet firewalls, right? So when we had that vulnerability, we have to create a lot of detection rules. Hello. Okay, yeah. So when we had that vulnerability, right, in Fortinet firewall, we had to create lots of detection rules in place so that we could get at least few details if something or the other happens. Like let's say it was said that after bypassing that vulnerability, they would be able to get a high level privilege. So when it attacker would get a high level privilege, so what we can do is we created a specific rule which says that okay, let's say if an user has admin has added someone in an admin role, or if some other user who is having very low privilege and they are getting added to a admin role, then we need to escalate it, or maybe ask about it, or maybe see if there is any information regarding it. So such rules have been written to find out if there is any gaps in our environment. So detection engineering is basically about uh, creating rules, fine tuning rules, and also enhancing the rules, enriching those rules with threat intelligence as well. So there are three basic types of rules when it comes to detection, that is signature based, behavioral, and threat intelligence driven. So as the name suggested, signature based is basically the exact match. Uh, let's say this particular SHA-256 is a file, if it's coming in our environment, then we need an alert. So this is basically a exact match alert. So for that, whenever we have EDR, XDR, or whatever AV or antivirus in place, then we need to keep on updating that threat signatures so that we would get alert if any updated signature has been triggered in our environment. When it comes to behavioral is basically knowing what is normal and triggering an alert if any unusual activity takes place. Let's say a huge amount of history or logs have been cleared, or if let's say a person who's not an admin is adding someone else in some other group, if those things happen, then that comes under behavioral alerts, and we would be further investigating it. When it comes to threat intelligence driven, so this is basically like, as I was saying in before and all, like let's say we are getting threat intel reports that says so and so domain is malicious, or so and so domain is specifically targeting the field you are working in, like financial or medical or anything as such. Then we would be writing detection rules specifically for that particular domain or IP address. So that is what is called threat intelligence driven. And for example, I have given some tools and which we will be using, to write rules like Sigma rules. Sigma rules is basically like a common rule, like let's say we have KQL, we have SPL, we have CQL for CrowdStrike, we have AQL for IBM QRadar. But when it comes to Sigma rules, we can write a rule in YAML file, and then we can directly convert it into whatever tool we are using, whatever SIM tool we are using. Let's say we can convert that YAML file to KQL, SPL, or KQL. We can convert it very easily. So that is why Sigma rules is like a very vastly used, and it's open source as well. And then comes Yara. Yara is mainly for malware detection side. So we would be using that as well for detection engineering purposes. So let's move further. Yeah, this is very a common topic which everybody might have know about. Can anybody give an overview on what is MITRE attack is?
It is a knowledge base used by both red team and blue team, and it contains tactics, techniques, and procedures used by the people from red team and blue team, and hackers as well.
Exactly. So basically, in attack is base. MITRE attack gives us a framework. It's a framework where we can see, okay, so this is the reconnaissance. So we have 14 tactics. So this is the reconnaissance. Then we will have resource development, initial access, tool at the end of lateral movement, and how it was extraction, how credential access has been done. So we have each and every tactics, we will have different techniques under it, and also we will have procedures on how each and every tactics have been carried out. So this is a huge framework which we all use, like let's say when we have ELK stack, or let's say we have QRadar rules, or let's say we have XDR rules, Cortex, or anything as such. They all map it with Mitre framework so that it can be easier for us to understand. So it's like a very common framework. It can be used like let's say universally by all tools. Consider each and every tool uses different frameworks of tactics and techniques. It would be difficult for us to keep up with each and everything, right? So because of that, Mitre attack is basically like a very commonly used, and it is very widely used by all the teams, all the tools actually. CrowdStrike, XDR, everything, everyone correlates their alerts with the Mitre attack framework. So this is very important concept as well. Let's move forward. Okay. Okay, you might think why I am suggesting Atomic Red Team here. So Atomic Red Team is like basically a very it's a set of tests. It's a GitHub repository where you will have set of atomics, which is a set of tests for each Mitre attack framework. Like let's say for credential access, they will have, for Linux based system, they will have a set of tests which we can emulate in our own environment to see whether our rules are getting triggered. So that is where Atomic Red Team comes. So for our lab, which in the second part of this series, where we will be working on full SOC automation, right? So for that, we will be mostly using Atomic Red Team. Atomic Red Team is basically open source. Since we are mostly going to, if since it's a home lab, we will mostly go for all open source tools, right? So Atomic Red Team can be used in emulation purposes. It can also be used in why do we basically emulate?
We have to verify our rules, our detection during phase, whether it is getting detected, whether we have a proper rules to detect such activities. So atomic red team covers most of the adversarial activities, and they are mapping it to MITRE tactic and technique as well.
Absolutely. So Atomic Red Team is because Atomic Red Team is mainly used to emulate such attacks to understand our own defense mechanism. It's like having our own, let's say we are having a home lab, or not, let's say an organization which is smaller in size, and having smaller in size, then we can use Atomic Red Team. Atomics, that is the test, the small tests. Each test can help us in identifying where the gaps are, like when it comes to validating people, process, and technologies. Like let's say if for each and every processes, when we are testing using Atomic Red Team, we will know where the gap lies, whether it's between people or whether it's in the process, whether we need tools. So this is a free open source tool which we can widely use in order to figure out the gaps mainly, and also to tune the fine tune our own defense mechanisms. Let's say we have captured an attack through one alert, but we have missed in the other alert. Like let's say VPN access alert, we have missed it in VPN access alerts, but we found it in credential access. So we have found a gap, right? So that, for that purpose, Atomic Red Team can be used. So we would be using this atomics in our tests to emulate the attacks, and also to get an alert in our SIM tool. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this demo, I have set up a Ubuntu machine. There only I have installed my Elastic agent. I'm using Elastic SIM for this, and Elastic Cloud free trial. We have 14 days of free trial for Elastic Cloud, and we will be having a set of integrations as well, which we would be using. Integration is basically like, let's say we have different tools in place as well. Like let's say we will be having having Suricata, we would be having OS query, we would be having other SIM tools in place like CrowdStrike or anything as such. So these integration would help us to collect log from those agents as well, from those agent as well, and then integrate it in one SIM tool. So for that, integration works. um, I think I'll just share my screen and show a very small demo on ELK. So basically, this is the Elastic free trial I'm using in my browser itself. You can also, there is lots of versions of this. You can also install it in different tools, like maybe you can install in your OS itself and then make it as a server. I'm using cloud version, so this is a free version. So I've already added, when we are coming to, let's say you are using a cloud version of this. The first thing you would do is, after signing up, you would come to agents, and then you would be giving this add agent, and then you will have, just a minute, let's see what comes. Okay, so you would have these details, like let's say I've already created a set of policies. I'll explain what this is in a minute. Okay, so we will be enrolling in feet, and also basically this is like, we will deploy our Elastic agent centrally and manage all the logs through that, instead of manually doing it, manually updating it as well. So, and then here we have, for different OSs, we have different commands. Whatever OS you're trying to install in, whatever OS you're trying to install your agent in, you can just click that and then copy this and paste it in your command line. Once you paste it, you will get a, after installing it, you will just get, you have confirmed, you have enrolled here. And once that is done, you will also see, once the logs are getting generated, then you will also get a green mark in this as well. So since I've already deployed my agent, I'll just close this. I just wanted to show how it is. So these are the two agents we have in place. And when it comes to agent policies, I said, right, like I'll say what is agent policy in a bit. So when it comes to agent policies, is basically like the integrations I was telling, right? Like we need different integrations in place to collect different sort of logs. So we have different integrations, like let's say we have defend integrations, we have audit the integration, file integrity monitoring. So file integrity monitoring basically checks for, let's say, a suspicious user who have no privileges trying to access and modify a temp file, or maybe let's say they are trying to access an etc folder in Linux. So in such a case, we would get telemetries through this integration. And when it comes to system, we will get all details about all the system logs as well. So we can see, if you want to know more about what are the integrations available, you can just go through here, asset, and browse integrations. And here you will find all sort of details, like let's say whatever environment you're trying to customize, right? Like for example, I have just kept it security, related to only security tools integrations. So we have lot of integrations available, like abuse IPDB. Sorry, not abuse IPDB. It's Akamai. We have Alien Vault. Alien Vault is basically like the we will use this as a threat intel platform, so that we can correlate our logs with this, and then we can get an alert if in case any malicious activities or malicious domain is getting incoming traffic. We are getting traffic from malicious domain, so we can get an alert through this. So then we also have a lot of, hello, different integration as well. In this, I have only kept audit the logs. It basically collects all the logs from Linux audit integrated. Just a minute, it got stuck. Okay, hopefully it stays that way. And to find out like whatever the logs that are getting generated, to get the overall view of this, we will be clicking the discover part of under security here. Okay, so basically when it comes to rules, right, when we are creating rule creation part, when it comes to that, we would be going to this rules section, and under rules section we would go to the detection rules, SIM. And we also have benchmarks. These benchmarks are mostly for the cloud providers, like we have specific for that. And when it comes to Elastic itself has a pre-configured, predefined rules, like almost 1500 rules. We could add these rules and import these rules into our environment if needed, or we can go through it and only have some selected rules in place. So here, when it comes to these rules, I have these 7 rules alone I've placed here. That is the potential SSH file creation and execution, the Linux file modification. So here I've also created a customized rule. So these customized rules basically I created to get an idea on how the correlation works. So I'll just show you the rule I created. So this is very simple, nothing much to do here. So we will just go here and click it here to get know more information about it. Okay, so here basically this is the base rule here. So whenever we use a curl command, like say this curl command, an alert would be triggered and we have to further investigate it. So can anybody suggest me what are the next steps would be? Like let's say we are having this curl command as the rule. So what we can do in the next steps to further fine tune it, or let's say how we can lessen the false positive. Can anybody give me some suggestions?
Yeah, you can ignore the whitelisted, you can ignore the non-trusted URL on the curl parameter.
Yeah, absolutely. That is one of the good suggestions. We could also ignore certain things that is specific to our organization. Let's say these we have certain set of tools and we are using curl to use that, and so we can ignore whitelist such tools as well when it comes to curl command. So this is a very base rule created, and we have to next, the further steps would be we would be fine tuning each of these rules so that we have a very highly processed but fine tuned, and we will be getting very less false positive alerts as well. So this is the rule which we created, and here it runs every 1 minute, and we can also schedule it as such. So let's go ahead and trigger this alert and see how it gets triggered. Okay, so let's just, we have said already that this is just a curl command rule. So whenever this curl parameter is used, we will be getting an alert. So let's just do this for triggering that alert. Okay, I've used the curl command, and now we will see what the alert has triggered about. Just keep the last 15 minutes so that it gets loaded quickly, hopefully. Okay, so let's go to our alert section. So alert section is the place where we will be getting all the alerts, and this section is basically the overall logs of the 2 hosts I have. I have installed the agent. So let's go to the alert section and see if we got the alert. Okay, we have 6. Okay, alert got triggered. So we would be going to the details section here, and we can see all the details like what command we used, what are the process, and systemd, and then in the terminal server we have used the curl command. So this way we got all the details, and the alert is also triggered. This is specifically for creating custom rule, but when it comes to all the rules that are predefined, we can also try to stimulate those predefined alerts using atomic red team as well. That is where atomic red team comes from. So this is just to show you how an alert could trigger and how it worked. So let me just quickly go through the next slide. Can you share the slide please? SOPs and playbooks. Can anybody tell me what is a playbook is?
Like a set of procedures what an SOC analyst have to do, first step, second step. It based on the alert what you have got. So it's like standard procedures we can say. This is how we needs to investigate like that we can say. It's okay.
Yeah, just a slight change that comes under that is also called as SOPs, that is standard of procedures. So that will also be the same as what you have defined. So playbooks is when it comes under automation, when we use automation, that time playbooks comes in place. Let's say we have XOR or Cortex XOR, or let's say we have the Hive and the Shuffle and all those open source tools. When we have this XOR automation SAW, that is security orchestration and automation and response, we have this tool, then we will use the playbooks term. So playbooks is basically we will create a set of rules in that also. Like let's say we have got a curl command. So the first thing you have to do in the playbook is we will say, okay, when you get this curl command alert, please check whether this so and so domain has been this is the domain was triggered or not. So if it comes under any domain which we have blacklisted, like let's say which we consider as malicious, then please send the alert to the analyst, and the analyst will investigate it. So but when it comes to, let's say, whitelisted domain, so if it's a whitelisted domain, please ignore this, don't trigger, and don't create an alert, and also please don't create any tickets as well. We have ticketing tools, right, like ServiceNow, then we have Jira. So we will be having a whole system where, let's say, this XOR would be the center of it. It would connect and it would trigger, it would say like, okay, so this is the command whitelisted domain, please don't trigger an alert, and this that is how playbooks works. So this is in this place XOR comes in place. Okay, so here when it comes to this example, like I've used this curl command as the rule, right? So for this specifically how the SOP looks like, we will see in the next command. Next slide, please. Okay, so for this next slide, we can see that, okay, so file executed and from a sensitive directory. Okay, that is a wrong name I have entered. So please ignore that. Come to the next part. So this is the elastic security. Mentioning the source of the alert in every SOPs is very important. This is the example of how an SOP looks like, but it can differ from organization to organization. But this is the workflow how it looks like. So let's say this curl command has been executed, or let's say a file execution from a temp folder has been conducted. So when file execution from temp folder is conducted, then we will be seeing, okay, what is the file is all about. But when it comes to curl command, we will see, okay, is it downloading a shell script or is it a binary? So was it executed shortly after, like was it the file right after using this curl command, was it executed? So we would check for the process name, we would check for the username, we will be having time lane, we will gather all these context, and if and only if the file we have certain criteria, right, escalate to either to your tier 2 people or tier 3 people, or maybe even to the users in some cases, we would be escalating and asking about this. So these are the exceptional cases where we will be escalating it. So that is file comes from external IP, or file was deleted, or maybe the context, the user is an admin user and we found this curl command and it executed a binary file which is unknown. So if those cases comes in, then we would be escalating it to our tier 2 analysts to further investigate. So this is an example of playbook and SOP. Sorry, this is not a playbook, this is an SOP. So this is what we are doing, and the next step, that is after this session, the next session we would be working on is creating a whole or automation lab where we will be doing not just elastic setup. We have already done few part of it, that is we have an ubuntu machine which works as which has the agent, our elastic agent. We have elastic cloud as SIEM. Then next we would be having and setting up egg shuffle, or then hive for case management. Case management is basically like, the ticketing system, and for all those case related details, like let's say updating notes as a SOC analyst and all those things, we will be using for that we will use the case management system. We can use the hive for that. And then we will also be having other tools in place, like let's say suricata and all those things, to get details from those logs in our SIM, so that we can have more visibility in the network side. So that would be the further next sessions which we will be working on. After that, we will try to work on manually threat hunting certain details. Like let's say we will have a threat intel report and we'll try to manually hunt about it as well. So these are the further sessions I'm trying to work on, and this is the overview of the importance of SOC and what they do, and a little bit of all the what is what and all the concepts as well.